Behind the Sign Summer Edition. We'll be chatting about all things real estate in our beautiful part of the Surf Coast, which is Janjuk and Torquay. I'm your host, Chris Henson, and I'm joined by Shaun O'Callaghan, also known as Owie. He's the founder of Natural Real Estate and our senior sales consultant, Kellie Papworth. Let's start to look back of summer for 3228. Just before we get into that, I just want to say congratulations to Shaun, who won Janjuk Agent of the Year realestate.com. Just had to put that in there because it's a massive achievement with everything else, along with your sales as well. Kellie, how was your summer?
Summer was great. It always is.
Yeah.
Probably not long enough, but it was great, and wrapped it up with a bit of time in Japan and in the snow.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Never
really
been? Heard it's epic out there.
You have never been?
No.
No, you should. Kids
Okay.
would love it.
Yep.
Really
Kel's
great
a
country.
Veteran of Japan, aren't you, Kel?
Yeah, I'm passionate about it.
Sounds good. All right, Kel, what happened in the world of real estate in this summer?
Yeah, we had a good summer. We're seeing buyers are really active over this summer. What we did see that there was some price sensitivity. So where properties are priced correctly, we're seeing really good activity, good competition and good results. We're seeing from an early stage of a campaign that pricing needs to be correct. And we're seeing if that is right, then buyers are engaging and we're seeing activity. We saw a great number of properties transact over the summer period. We were really happy with that. The really active market at the moment is in that 900 to 1.2 range. But in saying that, we're seeing great results. We had a property Shaun and I worked on in Janjuk that sold at $4 million. So seeing some really good results either side of that.
I believe that one in Janjuk had 3-4 buyers competing on it.
It did, yeah. It was a really competitive sale and really great interest. Phenomenal home, wasn't it, Shaun? It was a real standout.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's, at the top end of pricing at 4 mil, that particular property was an absolute standout and not necessarily indicative of the entire market. And it's a good way to reflect on the top end. Another good way to approach it is what's happening in the middle of the market, which you've mentioned there, Cal, around that 900 to 1.2. And there is, I've been referring to it as a bit of buyer hesitancy. So the buyers need to have like a compelling reason and reason to buy and to commit. And there's some reservation about moving forward. But once that reservation or deep market research is completed and there's some urgency around it, they've found the right one, then we're definitely seeing, good enthusiasm as well. So there's kind of two speeds. I reckon there's like a flat out speed and then there's a slower speed, and it seems like there's not a lot in between sometimes, but you focus on one aspect, which is the number of sales that occur over the postcode over that summer period, and it really does appear to be quite healthy.
Mm. It is healthy. And we saw a little, there's some hesitation with interest rates. That's always going to be the case, and things will slow up and there'll be some changes in buyer sentiment. But on the flip side of that, we're seeing good activity with first home buyers, and maybe not necessarily in our market. We don't have a huge pool of properties that appeal to first home buyers and they have capacity. But we do see that flow-on effect where homes outside of our region that are selling to first home buyers that then frees those owners up to move into their aspirational home here on the Surf Coast. So that's a good positive to keep an eye out on as well.
It's good to hear, Kel. Shaun, I know you've just had some commentary on it there as well. It's because the general consensus out there, if we believe everything the media said, that interest rates going up, things are slowing down. You've sort of mentioned that it's not necessarily that way.
No, not always. Not always. There can be some positives. And I think looking into those first-time home buyer grants and incentives that are out there, like I said, they don't always appeal in our market directly, but we do see some of those flow-on effects from that.
Yeah.
So it's stimulating the market.
It's good that we're doing this behind the sign because just to put it out there en masse that the market's okay. We're finding that, and I know we discussed this at length when we catch up a few times a week, it's not a vendor, it's not a seller's market, it's not a buyer's market, but it's more of a balanced market. So therefore, if you say property's priced okay, then there's a fair few buyers around for it as well.
It's really, if I can share one anecdote just about that really explains the market in the way I'm seeing it, and it the market kind of unlocks, if you like. At times it can feel a bit locked up, and I'll explain what I mean by that. It unlocked in this particular circumstance where there was a buyer in Ballarat who'd sold their home and had been on the market for quite a while, and then they were looking in Torquay. They then were able to purchase a property in Torquay, and then that person who sold to the person in Ballarat, they then proceeded to buy a property in Torquay. So there was this, evident fact that was so obvious that once that one property sold, there was this sort of reaction. So had the Ballarat property not sold, then 2 sales wouldn't have occurred in the Torquay marketplace. It's just interesting to look at that, like how do those sales take place? And at times there can be a situation where a property is might be stagnant for a little while, might not have much movement, but then some fortunate circumstances occur. They might adjust their price. A buyer then sees more value in it at that particular level. They then consider a different price for their home. And again, there's 2 transactions that can occur off the back of that. So we're seeing movement, but it's, definitely the chain of events is something that's quite interesting when you trace back a sale through subsequent transactions.
Yeah, for sure, Shaun. Just coming slightly to rentals, if I can, Kel. I know that you're not working in the rental field, and we'll come across to your journey shortly. But general consensus from the rental market?
Yeah, look, apparently it's still a really tight market, the rental market, meaning that there is not a lot of homes available to rent. Speaking to the girls yesterday, there's only 1 property in Janjuk at the moment for rent, which is incredible. So if you're looking to get into that Janjuk market to rent, you're going to find it's going to be a tight market. Currently, average rents in Torquay are around $720 a week.
Okay.
So it almost didn't seem that long ago that $650 a week was the normal number. And then again, Torquay would often have anywhere from, 40 to 60 properties for rent at any one time. And it's not uncommon to see it, drop back down to 20 available at any particular point in time. So that demand naturally is going to increase off the back of that shortage of supply.
Correct. It's a real supply and demand with the rentals, isn't it? And also it can be a bit more seasonal than sales as well, that it will tighten up over summer where people are potentially using their properties or getting them ready for the rental market, and then it'll start to free up a little through the winter months.
General consensus of the team as well, when we're talking about the property market through this summer and even just right here and now, is from a buyer's perspective, is if it feels right, if it's affordable, it's probably right. And you can over-analyse and never move forward. So a bit of advice there. And from a seller's point of view, make sure there's a strategy in place with your agent that you're working with, not just putting it online and hoping something happens, because I hope strategy in this type of market doesn't tend to work too well. So just make sure there's a strategy behind what you are doing.
And I think too, Chris, coming back to the pricing strategy as well, all forms part of that. And like I said, it's really at this time, it's more important than ever to be priced correctly from the very get-go of your campaign. And we saw that there was 3 homes that we sold in the last month that we were all involved with, that we saw a phenomenal 245 buyers through 3 homes through that time. So 1 on Elaine Ave, 1 in Janjuk on Torquay Boulevard, and 1 in Deep Creek. And just goes to show, if you have that strategy and the pricing right from the get-go, there are buyers there and it will create a good competitive market. And those homes all sold in a really good time and at the top end of their range.
Mr. O'Callaghan, April the 1st this year is a big date to note, not just April Fool's Day and my wife's birthday, hi Jess, but it's a big day. Please explain.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I think the 10-year journey, is not, it only feels like 12 months ago sometimes when I look back in my mind, but then I look at the photos and realise that it wasn't 12 months ago.
What's changed?
A few more creases around the face, but
and the mo.
Yes, I know they have been joking about the mo getting stuck like Velcro onto the microphone. But so look, it's been awesome. I think the beginnings of it was really, as a lot of business owners don't really know what to expect other than the fact that let's make a start and get the wheels turning. So that was 10 years ago. Oh my God, it goes so fast as well. But and fortunately, I've been working with you both, Cal and Chris, for a long period of time as well. And it's one of the things I actually love about what it is that it is at Natural Real Estate, is that the team's just a phenomenal bunch of people. And long-standing, commitment from you and others in the team. And I just feel like we've got a great synergy in the office. And so that's one of the things that's, really compelling for me to want to turn up every day, is not just our clients and customers and people that interact with natural real estate, but the team in the office as well.
Yeah, definitely. And turning the clock right back, where did your interest start in real estate and why?
There's a common theme in real estate, and a lot of people, let's just say, fall into real estate can be what occurs. Not as many people tend to choose it as a career, but for those that do find their way into real estate, it's often by a unusual journey. Mine was, originally I was a carpenter, and prior to that I wasn't overly academic, so I finished school early at 16 and then started working for my father, who had a building company. His father was a builder, so that was a natural progression. And then I got to a certain point. One of the things I loved about it was being involved with the architects and the trades and the owners of the property that we're working on. I really enjoyed that people connection. And after a while, I really wanted more of that, and was stimulated by wanting to be around interesting people doing different things. And it wasn't so much that I'd targeted real estate as a career. It was more, it turned up in front of me. I really wanted to make a change out of building. And then a friend of mine, Mark Rayner, hello, Mark, he was offered a job at a company in Torquay called Hocking Stewart. And then he decided that he didn't want to do that job and pursued a career as a stuntman, believe it or not. Think of a huge movie and Mark Rayner's been in it. He just rang me and said, hey, Owie, there's a job here, go and give him a call. And then I was fortunate enough to get a job at Hocking Stewart for 10 years, which I am grateful for.
So, Shaun, you started at Hocking Stewart, as you said, and that's actually where we met. You sold my block many, many moons ago. I don't know if you can remember. You do. That's where we met and stayed in touch to a certain extent. Then what made you start your own business? Because you were doing well. You were doing well as an agent, had a little team around you as well that you built successfully, but then decided to do your own.
Yeah, I'd had Hocking Stewart was a great company, and then I started getting some acknowledged successes and some awards and so on. And then there was quite a prestigious award that I won, and then I felt like that was a bit of a marker in time, like validated by others in a way, because you can be, again, a little bit self-critical. And so therefore to have that validation meant, oh, okay, maybe I'm okay at this. And then I just felt there was a different way of going about it. Not necessarily better, but just a different way of going about it. It's very much a human element, and coming from the standpoint of, how do we serve? How do we help people solve these problems? And then really wanted to initially get started, but did want to assemble a team that came from very much the same hymn book around wanting to assist other people achieve the goals that they want to achieve. And then also structurally setting things up within the office so that, for example, the salespeople had plenty of capability to go and help the community and not get anchored by too much administration work, because, the administration work will continue to come at a real estate salesperson. So I wanted to create a framework that enabled the salesperson to do their best work.
Yeah, for sure. And Kel, you were here from virtually the start.
So I went into property management at that time, which was a lot of fun. I love property management. I still do. I love the process of property management, the tick boxes.
You're not allowed to go back into property management, by the way, Kel. You're staying with the sales team. Thank you.
I won't.
Just putting that out there.
I loved the process of property management. I love the relationships you build there, and they were long-term relationships in property management. It was really good.
Mine was a bit different. I actually came to interview Shaun. I was looking to leave the business in Melbourne, and I ended up getting grilled by Shaun. So it was actually the other way around, and I didn't know whether I was asking him for a job or he was asking me for a job, and so on for a number of months. But we won't go into that. What are you going to say now?
Yeah. We've joked about this, but it was great. I mean, I think Chris, we'd gone through a transaction together, and then Cal as well. And I think the and it is a two-way street with employing people and choosing an employer, right? There's got to be that synergy, and there's got to be something there that's more meaningful than just there's got to be meaning there. There's got to be a connection as well. And, Chris, you're a phenomenal real estate agent. And I say this to people all the time. Like, it's because, yes, you know the craft, but also you actually genuinely are interested in helping people get to where they want to get to. And Kel, from your journey as well, what's so obvious is that, from property management and having that depth of knowledge, but then moving into the next stage of sales, which can be pretty confronting for people as well, having not been there before, but you became a student of it, and not only devoting towards being incredibly studious about wanting to understand the craft more, but then again, coming from that same standpoint of really genuinely wanting the best for the people that you're interacting with. There was, but I didn't, that was a good conversation you and I had, Chris, and we've been working together for a long period of time now. And, I think there's something about that translates into an offering to the people that we serve in the community around real estate, because we know how one another work, and there's a great connection around that. And we're also very much, I would say, come from a very similar place in wanting to achieve the best that we can for people.
For sure. And nothing's off the table either in any of the conversations, which I enjoy. Is the first job I feel sincerely that I can be who I am. And I know everyone else feels like that within the business as well.
You're right, Chris, and there's
really
support too. You always feel like the team has your back. There's a really good energy in our office where no matter what's happening around us or circumstantial or out of our control, that everyone's got each other's back.
Shaun, the company's evolved over time, including the rebrand from one agency nearly a couple of years ago now, and the new appointment of Adam Vaughan, our new GM. Looking back over the past decade, what are the two key lessons that you've learned from, it could be the rebrand, it could be from the business? I can see you smiling. There's many notes in there. Just remember, we've only got a certain period of time, Shaun, as we go through this. But two key lessons.
Yeah, look, we've touched on the team dynamic. I think that's huge. And then recognising one's own shortcomings as well. So that's the introduction of Adam Van Arnhem as GM. So there was aspects to that role that we had great support in the office. So, some great people that had been a part of driving the business with a huge amount of effort and intention to see it be the best as what it possibly could. And then that's been something that I would, fundamentally is being around good people. So the shortcomings that one possesses as an individual does get exposed in business. So the shortcomings meaning, for example, I lacked capability in certain channels that were required, and recognising that and then working with people who have high capability in those channels that perhaps, might be a 1 out of 10 and they might be a 7 or an 8 out of 10 or higher, then that acknowledgement has been one of the things. So recognising perhaps one's shortcomings and then being around great people. So I think inspiring and being inspired is a two-way street. So great team, great people is something that really fuels, I think, progress.
Yeah. If I can just touch on that as well, Shaun, because the old saying is around, you've got strengths, but work on your weaknesses, whereas I think it's flipped a bit. So what are our strengths and how can we work on those strengths and how can we get better on the strengths and employ people that are better than you in other areas and not one size fits all and just being an average. Discuss your journey, Kel, through property management and now to where you are. But just in brief, it'd be good to discuss that, because what we do want to offer at Natural Real Estate is career progression, and it's career progression at the level that you wish to go to, not we feel you should be at.
There was the next phase for me. I was getting to a bit of an itchy point. What's next? What's happening? Again, shifts in the family, doing different things. I had a bit more time on my hands. And then Shaun and I sat down and had a really great discussion about what the next phase for me looked like. and I went into a buyer role. So it was a new role for the business, and I was working predominantly with buyers or matching buyers with homes. So just really deep work with buyers. It was great work. I got great satisfaction out of being able to help buyers make their next purchase. It's probably one of the best parts of our jobs. I think we'd all agree on that. It's the rainbow and unicorns that we call it. And then obviously the next stage then was being able to go in as a fully fledged agent. I gained my real estate license, did some extra education, lots of training that we do internally and externally as agents at Natural Real Estate. So that is where I am now. I'm 2 years, I think, now as a listing and selling agent and loving it, loving the progression.
I'm flying.
I'd have to say as well, I feel really honoured to work in a business that does support that growth through the business. So not getting to those itchy or sticky points that you think I have to look externally for stimulation and growth, that we're getting that within the business. And I'm now starting to see other team members in the business, and it's beautiful to watch people work their way through and see the confidence build as well.
Before we wrap up, going to answer one common real estate question we've been asked over the summer. So, Kel, what questions have you been asked over the summer? Or Shaun, you can come in.
Look, I'd probably say a really common question at the moment, and where we are in this balanced market, is do I sell first or do I buy first? Do I put my home on the market and sell and risk not being able to buy, or do I buy something and then put my home on the market?
What would you say?
I think it really depends on the circumstances.
For sure.
Yeah. And how far progressed they are through the process. Yeah, it really is circumstantial, and that's where you've got to have a good relationship with your agent, trust in the advice that they're giving you. It's not just transactional for a good agent. It's about getting the right outcome for both seller and purchaser.
Definitely. And Shaun, one question from yourself in the summer, main one?
Yeah, I think quite a few questions come up around finance from buyers. So the clearest way forward for a buyer in that instance is to ensure that they've done as much as they can. I think it's just a little bit more of an onerous process now with the lending. And so I think some buyers make an assumption that they're more advanced than what they might be. So they can find the right house, but then finance is not being in order. So I feel like that question that comes up around finance is something that's really important. And again, I would say and this is one of the things that happens all the time in real estate. People tend to find the house before they're ready. But ensuring finance is all squared away, that's probably one of the most important pillars.
Thank you. If you do have any questions out there that we can put in our next Behind the Sign session, we'd love to hear from you. Please do email, call, text. Happy to work through those with you, because we do really want to know what you want to know. And so we can help you through that as well. Hope you found this chat helpful. We've enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as us. This is the summer session of Behind the Sign Natural Real Estate.